What a real pleasure to be able to sit down with Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados. Mia, your voice on climate change, on global inequality, on the work we have to do to build more resilient economies and infrastructures and opportunities for people around the world. Your leadership as a voice for the Global South and for small island developing states was remarkable at the Glasgow COP conference. But you and I have known each other a long while and been able to work a lot on some big issues. We're also really pleased to be co-chairing the UN Secretary General's Special Advocates Group on the Sustainable Development Goals. We know that those Sustainable Development Goals faced a significant setback because of COVID-19 and the global pandemic, but at the same time, they've become more important than ever before in terms of moving forward and supporting people. So I'm really looking forward to exchanging with you on all these topics and more.
It is my pleasure to meet with you and to allow our relationship between our two countries to continue to grow from strength to strength. This goes back centuries. It's not something that started in the last few decades. But in addition to that, your own relationship with my country at a personal level, and your father's relationship is one that we remember very, very fondly, and Canada's role over the course of Barbados' development as an independent country in the early days. That we fight these common battles now is something of great importance to us, because we recognize that as small island developing states, even though within the multilateral system we have one vote, what we don't have, regrettably, is a world order that reflects equity and reflects opportunity and possibility for the least among us, for the most vulnerable among us. And therefore, for most, they don't realize that it's a triple crisis that we've faced in the last few years. The common thread of the existential crisis of climate, we know that, we live it, we face it. The crisis of the pandemic, and we're not only dealing with COVID-19, but at the same time the reality that we're not getting people to invest in the antimicrobials resistance that we need to stop the 1.2 million people that are dying every year directly, or 5 million indirectly. And now we add to that, regrettably, the food and fuel crises that have literally started with the supply chain disruption in the pandemic, but exacerbated significantly with the war in Ukraine. And when you add to that, then you look at potentially the risk to a debt crisis and a financial crisis. So that the world, as Bob Marley would say, so much trouble in the world. And if we can come together and make that difference through the conversations that we have, you and I have, particularly, as you said, a responsibility that we've accepted to help the United Nations Secretary General and the United Nations generally to allow countries to pursue their development, because that's all the Sustainable Development Goals are. Ordinary development for ordinary people.